Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please, in the chat, put in where you are watching me from. I'd love to hear. Hi, Jean, Misty, lovely to have you here. Stephanie, Monique, William is here. So thank you so much for joining. And I know there's a lot more that are coming in. So tonight we have something very, very interesting to share with you. I'm going to be talking to you about building your brand. I'm going to show you some really cool things about how to elevate your brand, and I'm going to be demonstrating some hair for you and showing you how I have built my portfolio. So there's going to be lots of really great nuggets to share along the way. I have a very special guest who I'm going to be introducing in a moment. So when you look at the world that you play in, this is my question to you. Are you building business or losing business through social media? Now, I know some of you go, oh. How many of you have a love-hate relationship with social media? You love it because you get to see really cool ideas, but then it sort of sucks you down this little rabbit hole and you get lost in time. And how many of you think, oh, I should post. I've got all of these really cool images in my phone. I just don't have time to post, Viv. Or you say, well, I know I should do more, but I don't know how, and I'm not really good at taking photographs. So let me know in the chat how many of you have those challenges. And we've got Carol here from Oregon, and where else have we got? We've got Hairbender here. Who else we got? Monique. Yes, we're saying me. Yes. Okay. So even if you've tried everything, I know it's quite a challenge. So how many of you relate to that? You do, right? Just put a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, please. The next thing, does uncertainty cramp your style? So when you're obviously unsure of something, you're going to kind of rein back because it's like, well, what if it doesn't work, right? And we go into the safe place. So fear has this fascinating way of putting the brakes on us. And I always say, do it with fear, do it regardless, because if you do it with fear, that means you've got courage, right? And whenever I'm not sure about something, I always ask somebody else who's smarter than me, and I always practice on a mannequin head. So if I'm booked for a job and I haven't done a certain technique for a while, I'm going to practice so that I have a sense of certainty. Because if there's this nagging feeling inside where I'm really not sure, I don't know, maybe what if it doesn't work? What if she doesn't like it? What if I don't have time? The what ifs, right? You go through the moves, but energetically there is something pulling you back inside, and it robs your joy, basically. And so you think, well, I just go back to being safe. And then you play it safe for a while, and then you think, oh, I'm so damn bored. I've turned into a machine. And that's dangerous because we're all creative, but creativity is a muscle. You've got to flex it. So I'm going to be talking to you a lot about that tonight. How many of you relate to that? You do? Oh, Oksana is here. Hi, Oksana. Good to see you. So has the pressure of time turned you into a machine? I train people in this way. I say we put down our tools, we vogue around a face, we do a 5-star consultation, and we design with intentionality. We don't assume, we don't guess, we don't rush. We put down our tools, we plan, we map the hairstyle, and we make sure that we're allowing for shrinkage, allowing for whatever we need to allow for. We're planning for it all. Then when we pick up our tools, we have a real plan. And what we do is we save so much time at the end. And I know we've got people here that are in my hair designer program, Will, Misty, in my program. And I know that you'll agree with me there that, yes, that planning is a game changer, because you don't end up doing 2 haircuts or 2 services on one client. And how many of you find that you just end up being a machine, and it starts to rob your creativity and your joy? So I'm going to show you something in a little while in my first hair demo, which is about not being a machine. It's about being very, very fluid. So that to me is important. So how many of you can relate to this? How do you determine if a style is going to work? So I say to people, right, you have to Vogue around the face. You have to understand bone structure. You have to understand where does that client live in fashion. You have to understand all of these things to determine if it's going to work. So you can do a hairstyle. Well, I'm guilty of this. I've done hairstyles in my earlier days where I thought, yeah, this is really great for this hair. And then I get into the haircut and then I kind of look in the mirror and I go, ooh, what just happened? Because she's not as pretty as she was when I started. I've done an amazing haircut. It's brilliant, it's on trend, but it really doesn't suit her. And then she stands up and walks away and I just go, huh, that's so short on that tall body. And I think, oh no. And then it just eats away at me all day long. And then I remember going home and mum would say, how was your day, darling? Oh, mum, I cut another person's hair way too short. I'm never going to see them again. And I didn't. Do you relate to this, right? So is it going to work? It's easy to feel that you're getting left behind, overwhelmed by keeping up with hot trends on social media. Sometimes it's just too much. Has this happened to you guys? You've felt like that? Yeah, you can't keep up. It's impossible. We're a human being and we need to sleep. And every human being and the creatives that I know, they have highs and they have lows. The idea is to have some stability and find your signature look. Find the look that that feels right for you, because then it's going to be authentic, right? I'm like a kid in a candy store. I love everything from avant-garde to classic, to bohemian to rock and roll. I get into the character of that person and I appreciate it. And I will never be rock and roll, but I get what it's about and I go into that world. So you have to find what's right for you, but you also have to find something that allows you to expand and grow. Otherwise, if you're not constantly improving, you're stuck, and that's really, really dangerous. Do you relate to that? Yeah, I think you must do. Are you attracting the business you want? Now, tonight's presentation has been inspired by the wonderful stylists that I work with. So I've worked with a stylist and I've watched them grow week by week and evolve. And then I go, okay, well, let me take a look at your Instagram page. And then I go, whoa, their work is up here at a 9 and their Instagram page is down here at a 5. There's a disconnection. What's wrong here? And when they're doing this amazing work and they're not getting the clients, part of the problem is that their Instagram, their promotion, and think about anything on social media as your brochure without any boundaries. Think of it as your portfolio. It is your voice. So if it is not representing who you are, then you're not going to get the kind of business coming in that you want. And that also applies to the wealth of how much money clients are prepared to pay. What is the cost of your business when you play it safe? So there are absolutely times when routine is vital, it's important, but it can also get you, a routine can also turn into a rut. And you have to know, okay, I've been going down this path a little bit too long, it's time for a change. So you can't be a ping pong ball bouncing all over the place. That doesn't work in building a brand. You've got to be true to your brand. So what's actually happened in my world, I'm no longer just teaching someone how to do lovely hair. I'm teaching them to put the right look on the right person. That's critical. But I'm now teaching them how to take great photos and how to build their brand. And so we're now doing so much more within my educational platform than ever before, because I want to see amazing results. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, then you are clearly in the right place. And that's what it's all about tonight. So hopefully you'll all enjoy that. Oh, Miss Kay is here. Welcome, Kay. Let's see. Stephanie's saying overwhelmed. Yep. And let's go on. So what I'm going to share with you is how to become so desirable that you become the best rated in town. So how does that happen? Well, your voice has to project beyond the four walls of your salon. So when I first started to do photographic work, and I worked at Sassoon's and I did editorial work in my very young days of being a hairdresser, and I had no idea how to do any of that stuff, but man, did I learn the hard way. So then from there, what I then started to do was I then went from there into Trevor Sorby and Vidal, where we started to go on set and shoot and do all these lovely, lovely images. And what Trevor said to me one day, and I'll never forget it, he said, Viv, if you produce a really beautiful photograph and it gets published by a magazine, and today self-published, obviously social media, that photograph's going to work for you when you're asleep. That photograph can go to places all around the world that you've never even been, if it's a really great photograph. Well, today, because we can all publish, as opposed to only a magazine publishing you, it's very busy out there. There is so much noise. So that's why you have to niche down. And you know that expression, there's riches in the niches. That's where it's so important to niche down, really take a good look at your market and go, okay, what do I need to do in order to be the best rated in town? So how to unlock your creativity? Do you know that happy people, and it's interesting how in corporations, they don't really sort of talk about what can we do to make our staff happy? What can I do to make my clients happy? What can I do to have this happy energy within my world? And it's amazing because happy people are more creative. Happy people are more productive. And so we can't negate the happy factor. And when I work with stylists, and tonight I'm going to show you how you can work with me, you'll be able to book a coaching call and we will take you on our success path. So if you're really interested in that, stay tuned because we're going to show you how you can actually join my lovely world. So when I'm working with stylists, one of the things that brings me so much joy is when I hear a stylist say, I'm happier now than I've ever was. Or Viv, I was thinking about quitting the business and I now have a new passion again. We just did a 2-day boot camp in editorial and I'm going to show you one of the images a little bit later on. And we just started to play with hair and it was so much fun. And it was like judgment has to sit outside the door. We're just going to play. We're just going to let the creativity pour out and flow, right? And we're going to photojournal and just see what we have because every single hairdresser who comes into this industry has richness and creativity. But sadly, it gets locked away and we become a machine and we don't know how to be creative in a busy life. So again, I'm going to talk to you about that because some of the creative things are just little things. You think creativity is the ability to solve a problem. So if a client's got a fat face, how do you skinny it down? If the client has a very short face, how do you elongate it? That's creative. I'm not talking about putting a tree on the top of a head. I mean, you could, but I haven't ever had a client come into me and say, cool, Viv, I'd love a tree stuck on top of my head. Although I did once have a client say, could you do the tulip hairstyle? And I said to her, I don't know what a tulip hairstyle is. She said, oh, I had it 30 years ago. I said, really? And so she showed me this photograph of her, like, I don't know, it was in the 50s or something. And it was all folded like a tulip. And I went, that is really cool. And I said to her, do you think it's time to move on? Crazy, right? So how to get a client to say, no other hairdresser has ever given me the service I received today. That's the ultimate, isn't it? If you could eavesdrop on a client talking about you, I wonder what you'd want them to say. Interesting, right? Client retention. We're going to talk about what the nice client does not tell you. You see, being British and having spent so much of my career in London, I remember clients sitting there and they would say, "Oh, yes, that's very, very nice. Thank you." And you'd see them like creep out of the salon, like pulling on their hair, thinking that if they did this, it'll get longer by the time they get to reception. And clearly it's the client that's never going to come back. And the clients that don't give you the feedback are actually hurting a lot because when you don't know what the problem is, you can't address it, right? So the very first thing I have on my consultation form is, obviously for the new guest, is why did you leave your previous stylist? And that's fascinating because that's not something you can ask at the beginning of a consultation, is it? It'll be like a little awkward. So, why are you here? What was wrong with the last hairdresser? No, you can't do that. That's not really good, right? So it's just amazing to discover what can go on, and very, very powerful. So I'm going to share with you some things like that. The danger of compromise. And certainty builds confidence. So compromise. I was trained and worked for companies where we were never allowed to compromise. And we were told clearly, if the client is not going to follow your recommendations, there's a salon down the road that they can go to. That's a really hard thing to say, but we did. And it would be like, I'm sorry, madam, this is the hairstyle that what they were recommending. If you're not happy with that, then we'd recommend you go somewhere else. That's how rigid and strong it was. Could you get away with that today? I'm sure there's somebody out there that could, right? But what's important is knowing where to compromise. And if you compromise every single time, then you're in danger zone. So compromise can be a dangerous thing. So let's just for a moment, just look at the power of photojournaling. So this is a nice little razor haircut. And as you can see, as I was going through here, I was photojournaling it. So I started big. Then I started a little smaller. Then I swept the hair more across the face. Then I just give it a bit more of a rough texture. Then I thought, that's now working. And that's where we ended up. So it took training my eye to see, okay, that works. That looks modern. That looks daft. That doesn't look that great. It's messy, but it has got not much of a shape, and that's a bit of a bouffant. So it took by me looking through the eyes of the camera to train my eye and go, yeah, that's really, really nice. I like that look. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate to you, and I'm going to also bring in my fabulous Sarah. So let me just bring her in here. Let me just welcome, Sarah.
Hello, everybody. I'm busy taking my notes. I'm liking this class.
Good. So I'm going to start off by literally taking a photograph of how the hair is right now. So it's just I'm going to just flatten this down a little tiny bit and close down her face so we'll all recognize where she lives, which is our obvious curtain fringe, which clearly is not for everyone. So before I get into that, Sarah, I'm going to just go into full screen, but we'll be able to have a conversation, and we're going to talk about your world and everything you're doing as we get deeper into the presentation. Is that okay with you?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, my lovely. So let me just go to full screen so everyone can really see what I'm doing here. So when I'm looking at something like this and the hair is around like this, the client often does not realize that while the hair is all here in this way, there is obviously nothing at the back. She does not know that. She just thinks, oh, if I had my hair layered this way, I'm going to have all of this volume. Well, you can if you have some hair extensions put in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start moving this around and start to show you what happens to face shape with very subtle changes. So I practiced this earlier and technically everything went perfect. So fingers crossed it's still going to go perfect. They always say, and I believe this really strongly, that you should always be surrounded by people much smarter than yourself. Well, I'm alone here and I've only got the mannequin head, so that makes it pretty dangerous, right? So let me just go here and let's see what I can do by sharing my screen so that you can see what I'm seeing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my blow dryer and change the parting just a little bit. So I'm going to use a little tiny bit of hairspray, just a little bit here. And I'm just going to come in and give a little bit of a lift. I'm going to have it on a low power. So I'm just coming in here and then elevating. When you look at the shot in the screen and here, I've opened her up. So I've given more length to the face, where before I'm closing down and I'm making it very, very, very narrow. So this is a totally different look, and obviously opening it out through here. So that starts to, when I come through and I just ruffle the hair, I can start to make it look, you know, really quite glam. And I've totally changed how she looks. So again, if I take a photograph from here now with her much fuller, and again, it's how I photograph it that's so important. So now I'm just going to come back in and take another photograph. So I'm going to now just open this up even more and just show like her sexy and undone. And I just pull her apart. And we have a whole different vibe going on here. I'm going to come in. This is my friend's spray, which is ours. It's a really nice, beautiful product, and it smells incredible. So now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to take another photograph just like this, and you can see she's gone really big. So now when we look at the journey of smaller and flat, I've closed down her face, I have a balance, and now I've obviously made it very, very large, and maybe that's too large. So now we get that texture, and then we just take it down a little tiny bit, and then we just come back in and take another photograph. Just come in here. So now that's more balanced. So now we're going to move the parting over. And what we're going to be discussing is maybe this is a story for social media in terms of, okay, how can we do something that shows the client the versatility? And I know that Sarah, you did that, didn't you?
I did, and I actually had a lot of fun doing it. And I think now you're giving me ideas. So I definitely would like to do this behind my chair. Not only for my social media, but just to show clients, like, this is what you can do to take it from day to night. This is what you can do. And look at, like, how long is this taking you? This is only taking you like 10 minutes.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, it's another tool in my belt to separate myself from other stylists, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
And give people more value, like it gives the client more value and justifies my increase in prices.
The closing down of the face, the elevation in the parting, the volume and the expansion, the calming it down, moving it to the side. So now what I'm going to show you is the importance of, when you are doing something like this, any time you do a box on the face, a box, it's never as flattering as a diagonal line building out through here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little tiny bit of oil into the hair. And this is a really nice oil. It's very nice and light and soft. It's by ours. And I'm going to just run the oil through the hair just to give it some life. Oh, come on, darling. I'm going to now bring this down and close her face a little tiny bit. I'm now going to take this back, very, very simply, because now what I want is the asymmetry of this coming forward. And this is my favorite place to be, an arm's distance away, eye level to my work. And this is how I am when I'm doing hair, so that I can really make sure that everything is balanced and in proportion. So this is coming back. This has the angle there. So I'm working on a triangle, negative space triangle, a triangle that sits further back there. So now when we come in and we take a picture of this, we just move her over. Come on, darling. Now when we come in and take a photograph of this, we've got a really different look. So what we've always got to strive to find is the oval. Now let's look at our journey closing. You can see this is the one where she looks the chunkiest, don't you think, Sarah?
Yeah, but I still like it though.
Yeah, but she's got a bit more of a chubby face.
Yeah.
That's much more, you see how there's length now in the jawline?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now if we take this down here, let me just show you here. When I vogue around the face, I'm doing this. I'm looking at the balance, I'm looking at the proportion, and I'm looking to see, okay, where is the beauty? So as I'm voguing around the face, Sarah, what did that mean to you when you decided to learn how to vogue?
Oh, well, I mean, it cuts down on a lot of guessing, that's for sure. I just did it with a client right before this class because she was loving the length around her lip and jawline, but it was too heavy in the back. You know, the weight of the back of the haircut was like, it wasn't very flattering for her face shape or her hair texture. And so I just started voguing and moving it around, like leaving those front points where they were and lifting and, you know, moving it around behind it. And so like we cut a lot of layers and gave her a totally different haircut, but still left that length that really was flattering to her face shape. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just by showing her and taking actually 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and she was like, let's do it. So, because she could see how much better it made it was flattering to her face shape.
Yes, and what I'm just doing through here is I'm just doing some gentle teasing. It was a meshing technique to take the hair back off the face. It is a directional type of back combing. And you can see, like, from bringing that around, oh, come on, darling. I'm now changing how she looks. I now want to make sure that this side has a bit more balance. So I'm looking at the silhouette. I'm not just looking here, I'm looking here as well. So she looks as though, now this would be great on a pair. I'm just going to come in here and do a little here. Just tease that in there. Now I'm going to be looking at the depth. So depth, I can't see depth where I am right now. I've got to look into the screen or the mirror in order to see the depth. So that is a stacking and packing method. So now I've changed that shape through there, skinning her down here. And so now I want to just run my fingers through the hair. And sometimes I'll even put like a little tiny bit of water into my hands just to hydrate the hair. That can work really, really, really well. So just a little bit of moisture here in my hands. And so now I step back, and the big important thing is stopping and studying your shape in the mirror. So guys, I'm super excited. We haven't actually launched it yet, but it's going to be launching next week. We're actually going to be doing a photographic workshop, which is going to be amazing, with the incredible photographer, Joseph Cartwright. And we're going to be teaching you how we shoot, how we do amazing pictures, and you'll actually come to New York and you'll produce a collection with us, and it's going to be pretty amazing. So if you are interested, put in the chat, oh, Viv, tell me more. I won't be taking the pictures, clearly, because I'm a hairdresser, struggling to take photographs right now. So anyway.
Well, I'm interested. So what were you just saying? Because I can't type in the chat. So what were you just saying? You're having a class next week?
No. It's in October.
It's October. Okay.
It's October, and it's going to be an incredible photographic journey. So we're not only going to help you take better photographs of your work, but we're actually doing a professional photo shoot. And what we have is closing the face. The volume lives in the jawline. Opening and lifting, way too much volume. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's okay. And calming it down. And then we've got the nice soft effect, and then opening it back out. And so it's just a nice sort of evolution in terms of the style and where you can go and changing the face shape. That's what's really important. So I hope that is helpful. So the first part of this, in terms of looking at your creativity, which is so important, is it's about the creativity of where you put the parting, the creativity of where you open, the creativity of where you close, showing the client. Maybe you could do a little post on social, which is just saying, you know, notice how much your face shape changes when you change the parting. Obviously, that's way too long, but something along those lines, right? And that will make that super, super exciting. So I want to show you an example because it's all about practice, right? So I want to show you an example of what I did, which is, let me just come here and share with you what I'm going to show you. 1 second. I'm bouncing from device to device. But we're going to do it. Nothing like a bit of stress. There she is. So I took this picture of an idea that I had, and clearly everything about it is wrong. I'm photographing the hairstyle from above, and I see so many hairdressers photographing their work from above as opposed to eye level. So a lot of hairdressers will quit at this point. They'll go, doesn't look very good. I think I will just quit because it's not really much of a good idea. It then went on to be a little bit better, right? Oh, that's a bit better. So you can see from this, that's not the correct position. It's not staged correctly, etc., etc. So you've got to train your eye to really see, you know, the ideal look. And then I took it to this. So the question is training your eye and knowing when to stop and knowing when to push through. So when you look at where it began and the evolution, there's plenty of reasons why to stop. Oh, it's not working. It looks stupid. Oh, I feel like a idiot. I'm not going to do it. But look at where it did go. So I'm going to now show you in a little moment how I totally changed the background to make that look amazing. Would that be interesting for you guys to see? Just let me know in the chat if you'd like to see how I created that little trick. Let me know. And I will be showing you a little bit later on within the presentation if you have an interest to seeing how you can take really great photographs of your work. Remember, a photograph lives forever. And that's what it's all about. So for those of you who don't know who I am and why should you listen to me, I've been in the industry quite some time, and I've been blessed to help some of the most amazing hairdressers in the world become the best version of themselves. So you can see I have a lot of experience in the studio working on creating beautiful images, whether it be sleek, whether it be textured, whether it be just very, very soft and undone looks. I love dressing hair. I love working with wigs. I love working with hair pieces. I love working with color. I love cutting hair. And what I do know is that when you start to build your brand with intentionality and you find your voice, you find your signature look, then you can start to really build who you are. And then you can start to attract, it's the manifestation. You can then start to attract the kind of clients that you want to sit in your chair. If you don't go out there putting out this type of work or work that, even on a mannequin head, I have no problem with mannequin heads. Just make them look like a nice piece of art. And, sometimes it's hard to show a client the front, the side, and the back. When if you've done it on a mannequin, then it's fantastic. So in all of the training that we do, I love to encourage hairdressers to watch the videos, create the look, photograph the look. And if you're part of my program, I give you feedback on what you have done. And that's the game changer in all of this. I love working with scissors. I love working with razors. I love it all. I'm very open-minded about how do I raise my standards and keep growing? So Ruth Roach and Stephen Moody, incredible hairdressers. They were originally two of my lovely students. So let's change gear. Today, our clients know their faces better than us. So how does the camera see a face? So when you look at this lady, beauty, what is that? Where would you take her? So when you look at this, would you trim her hair? Would you give her more blonde? Would you give her hair extensions? Would you give her curl? What would you do? So I obviously went on a really fun journey with her and did something quite different, okay? But what I want to say is that everything, the gatekeeper of everything you do is the 5-star consultation. So this wheel of all of the things that are important, from body type, age, hair texture, fashion, lifestyle, personality, budget, time, confidence, communication, etc., it's been nicely, evenly divided. But if you are biased and you only look at the hair texture and you forget to study face shape, or you have an idea but you're not so good at communicating it through, or you kind of get trapped on the trend wagon as opposed to the bigger picture of fashion, then what happens is, instead of your wheel gliding seamlessly through the day, your wheel becomes out of balance and it's a bumpy ride through the day. And so, for example, if you're not paying attention, if you're not standing your client up and looking at her body type, if you're not voguing around the face to study face shape, your wheel is going to become very, very bumpy. So my goal is to train you how to have no bumps in your wheel. So my method of training is very, very powerful. And, Sarah is a graduate of my program, and she has seen it firsthand. We watch the videos, don't we, Sarah?
Yeah, I loved all of it. I love the repetition of the video to the class. I liked it. It's very methodical.
Yes. So the repetition being that you watch a video every week, you join a live class every week, and then you photograph your work every week, and then we give you feedback. I give you video feedback, we give you text feedback. It's really super exciting. So that's my method, which is why I've seen such incredible transformations. And Sarah, your transformations, they've been pretty huge, haven't they?
Huge. Yes. I went from feeling a little burned out in the industry, and then feeling reignited and re-inspired. I'm doing better work. I'm making the same amount of money, working a lot less time. And I value my life, and I value myself, and I value my clients more than ever. And I'm just so grateful. I feel very fulfilled and just inspired, all the time. So
that's great. And you used to work, a 5-day week, right?
Yes.
And now you're working a 3-day week?
Mm-hmm.
And you're making the same amount of money. So that means you're making that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, so I have had 3 price increases in a year and a half. And so I still have some just haircut clients, but most of my clients are color and haircuts. So, when you get rid of that kind of grind of doing a haircut every 30 to 45 minutes, and you're focusing more on your high ticket, your higher price tickets, then it's easier to make the same amount of money and work less hours.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So the way that I love to train is, we watch the videos. You can watch them as many times as you want. You join a live class, and then we give you feedback on your work. So these are my coaching programs I'm talking about. So the consultation, I know that when you do the consultation based on what I've been sharing tonight, it's a game changer. And that's why the stylists who join me are able to increase their prices, as Sarah has. And in many, many cases, what has actually happened is that we've got stylists who've increased their prices or their earnings from anything from 20 to 40%. So that's really, really huge. So what I do in my consultation is, I have something called the 3 wheels of fashion, which I'll speak to you about in a moment. But before I pick up my tools, I really want to know the landscape of where my client lives and design to her. And when you look at everything being an assembly line or automation today, or artificial intelligence today, and you can come in and do couture, we're the last one standing. When you think that within probably the next 10 to 20 years, 40% of the jobs that we now have are going to be gone, we'll be the last one standing. It's time for us to raise our prices and really value the gift of what we do, and to start seeing ourselves as worthy of more than we are right now. Can I get anyone agreeing on that in the chat? I would love to see some comments there. Sarah's saying yes, yes, yes. So it starts off with my 3 wheels of fashion. So we could say that some of the images I've shown you whisper. They have a certain fashion sensibility and femininity. So I look through this, and we have a consultation form that is a guide, and it guides your client and it informs you. So for example, this first look is undone, right? On the left hand side, this one here, she's undone. And then this one here, she's round brush blow dried. So we've got one that is polished and buttoned up, and we've got one that's scrunched and very undone. It's exactly the same haircut, but who is that lady? So you can lose a client and gain a client just by not understanding she likes that rawness in her hair. She likes it undone versus she likes it polished. We can then look at, we can do a Velcro roller set on long hair. Yes, we can round brush and do our little feathered hairstyles, and we can scrunch and diffuse. And it's looking at how to expand the creativity of what we do. So, clearly on a mannequin, there's nothing wrong with doing that. You can do something really cool. Here, for example, I went in and you got how I photographed it on the left-hand side, and on the right, I put in a background and made it more interesting. But think about social media where you can actually show the client the front and the side and the back, and you can show her what that is. And, you can turn this into a beautiful art piece, because sometimes it's hard to get the client who's photogenic to give you the photo you want. Mm-hmm. So when I'm working with professional models, and obviously I'm working with professional photographers, this haircut is exactly the same haircut technique, but it has a completely different sensibility. If you look through my 3 wheels of fashion, we've got a bit of a rock and roll, we've got a bit of a glam, and we've got very, very feminine and very soft. So it's understanding how you can do one haircut, but 3 totally different styling techniques to give that client something very unique. So obviously, I teach more than a hairstyle. I teach patterns to success. I've been in magazines, I do workshops, I'm very comfortable. One of my favorite places is on a photo shoot. I've done events all around the world, and I apply these principles to every single one of these platforms. So what do you see when you look at your guest? Do you see undone? And do you see polished? Do you see just a little textured? Or do you see very, very classic and very, very chic? So again, short hair. Look how creative you can be with short hair when you just play around. But let's go to everyday reality. This lovely lady, she came in to me and she really wanted a bob. And I didn't feel that that was appropriate for her jawline. So I cut all her hair off. And, I went through my consultation, I vogued around her face, and I showed her how I could make her face slimmer. Now, the key words here was that she did not like how heavy her jawline was and how thick her neck was. So, for example, I'm going to give you an example here. When you have someone who has a heavier jawline, the smartest thing you can do when you photograph them is not have them stand like this. You can actually have them bring their chin forward like that a little bit. So that means it lengthens them through here. And if they do that and just like lean in, you get a better jawline here. So from this side, it just looks a little strange, but this side, it looks really great. Another thing that's amazing, when you say, well, Viv, I don't have time. If you can create a space in your salon where there is pretty light, and you can say to your client, why don't you just go over there and just take a selfie of yourself? And she's going to go, oh, wow, this light's really pretty. Oh, Sarah, you did such an amazing job. Picture, picture, picture. Oh, can I have one of those photographs? Super. Now, what about if you ask your client to be here like this, taking pictures, and now you have your phone right here, and she's taking pictures of herself, and she's looking into her phone, but you are right here, either with your camera or with your phone, and you are photographing her move. She's going to be less self-conscious because she's looking at herself. It's her connection here, but you're actually stealing some shots. So you can be creative around this. Say, for example, you've got clients who you know are photogenic, and you could say to them, do you mind coming in at the end of my day? Do you mind just wearing a little bit of makeup, wearing a pretty little collar, not some sweater and hoodie that never photographs well? It really doesn't, unless you're like a size 0. It's just a hard thing to photograph, and it's not pretty for the hair. So if you can say, listen, could you come at the end of the day? Even if you did one client a week and you were working, say, 50 weeks of the year, you're going to have 50 images. And if you can get an interesting side and a this, you can then double that up and say, well, I've got now 100 images. It's about quality. It's not about quantity. It's about somebody being inspired by your aesthetic, by your style, by your beauty. And, you know, obviously, if I want makeovers and I want a certain age group, I'm going to go after mature ladies like that. Maybe I would even do a post out there on social saying, I'm going to be hosting a photo shoot. Would you like to come in for free haircut and color? I'm going to do a model call and find people who are appropriate to build your portfolio. Why not? So you can be as creative as you want to be when you can see the value of what you're going to get from that. So the question is, how does the camera see an image? The camera does not see depth. So a hairstyle has width, it has length, and most hairdressers just look at length. How many inches are you cutting off? Depth is here. This is depth all the way around here. Depth, depth, depth is here. So the camera does not see depth. The camera does this. It flattens an image. So that means you have to be able to open and create more valleys and peaks. So let me just show you, because it's easier to show you than talk about it. So here, for example, is depth. Now, if I'm working with a face shape that is fuller in the jawline, I've got to make sure that I create either elongation, stretch the face out, or build volume where the head is narrow, and narrow where the jawline is full. When I'm looking here, there's my depth. And so as I'm looking at these hairstyles, there's my depth. So I'm looking at the depth of the shape, which is going to give me an amazing shot. So how to stop the scroll on social media. This is from Pamela, who's in the designer program. And I just thought she was so totally cool. All right, so Kevin and Colette both did these lovely hairstyles, but there's a problem. The background is busy and it takes away from their fabulous hair. So we remove the background, and by removing the background, Kevin's hairstyle, Colette's hairstyle has the magic. I did this photograph and I've got all this noise and distraction in the back, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it was such a cute photo. What do I do? Well, I decided to remove the background. So what you're seeing here is I removed the background, but somehow the girls stayed. So I had to erase them, get rid of them. And I don't want the legs, because those legs that are under the guitar are no good. So I got rid of their legs and cleaned up the whole image. So now I have a clean canvas. I put in a little bit of a rock and roll effect through there. But is that enough? I then thought, well, what would happen if I change the background and I'm looking at what is my brand? What is my style? What are my colors? And what do I want to say out there? So what an amazing before and after. And you can see softness to drama. And at the end of the day, here we have a strong image. And the goal is to stop the scroll.
Vivian, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you are doing the background change on your computer, right?
Yes.
Okay, because when I am trying to do something like that on my iPad, I don't have those options. So it's only when you're on your computer, correct?
You know, the phone and an iPad are wonderful.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the power of a computer. Mm-hmm. So no, you need to make that investment. And, you know, just as you invest in your tools, you need to invest in the correct products. Remember, guys, we're talking about building your brand. What is your signature look? How to make your work look more expensive? How to be more in demand? You need a portfolio. You would never hire a graphic designer if they had just one little thing. You need to see that. Think of your Instagram as your storefront. And you've got to bring me in. And while it's great to get referrals in person, that will always be valuable. When you do it right, it is so extraordinary what you can do in your reach. And you can be reaching people in an extraordinary way. Tonight, we're just talking about the aesthetic, how to take a great photograph. We're barely touching the surface. You know, I mentioned we're going to be doing a photographic course, which starts in September because it's online, and then we go live in New York. We're breaking it down to so many tiny pieces. I'm going to be teaching you things that have taken decades to learn, that you're going to get in a very short window of time. So, you know, it takes time. But the important thing is, even if you're just using your phone and a mannequin, you are training your eye. In a moment, I'm going to show you another hairstyle. So I'm going to show you again, like the whole aesthetic of how you build a shape so that you can really understand that. So what
one more question. I have one more question.
Yes.
Okay. So are you using the Canva app on your computer? Is it through Canva or is it a different software?
No, it's Canva.
Okay. So Canva on your computer is just more extensive and has more options than your iPad and your phone.
Yes.
But you only pay for Canva Pro one time.
Yes.
For all three of the okay. All right. Thanks.
That part I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that part I'm not.
Well, I'll find out. I just have always used it for my iPad and my phone, but I really love like the options in the background once you remove it.
Yes,
you know, I've done a lot of that, but I didn't have as many options as far as what to replace it with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
so
thanks.
You're absolutely welcome. So the consultation is king on everything you do. And as I said, how you scroll through social media and how you stop is everything. So the number one thing, the mistake that people make is they don't study face shape. So I'm going to talk to you about face shape and how I balance a hairstyle. Designing to personality. If you look at this gorgeous lady, you know, that kind of California, kind of relaxed boho into something that's very glamorous, right? Here, we're looking at where does the client live in fashion? The next thing, designing to the sensuality of the look. There is sexy and powerful. There is soft and sensual. And it's understanding that hairstyles have that. If you don't vogue around the face, you'll never know the potential of that client, because voguing around the face is everything. So many times people don't even know how to verbalize it. So here we've got a lovely lady. She's gorgeous, but her hair isn't special. And I had a real challenge to talk her from this to this. It was not easy to transform her because I just felt like the way her hair was just wasn't special. And she wanted to feel sexy. She wanted to be very feminine. And clearly she is. So what I do know is that my training does save decades, and experienced stylists who now after 30 years are making, for some of them, a six-figure income for the very first time. So that's really very wonderful. So you don't have to wait 3 decades to get the result. And consequently, you can make a whole lot more money. So let's dive now into this next hairstyle. And I'm going to show you a fun technique. And I've never done this hairstyle before. Well, I did rehearse it, but it was very rough the way I rehearsed it. So I did a mini crimp through this hair. And what I'm going to do is give her a lovely little classic look. Classic, but it's going to have a modern vibe to it. So let's start off here. Let me lower her a little bit. And I'm absolutely open to take any questions that come in, anything you want to ask. And Sarah, anything that you'd like to share with the audience about, your experience of working with me and all of that good stuff. In fact, Sarah's going to be coming out to work with me on our workshop, aren't you?
Yeah, in September.
Yes,
yeah. This will be my second time. I just love it.
Yeah, it is a whole lot of fun.
And staying at the barn, which is amazing too.
Yes.
That's really fun.
Yeah. It is.
Well,
So,
I could say this for sure. The different, like when I was there is when you were telling us about the hair designer program, and it was the first time you were doing it. And I loved my 3 days with you. I thought it was amazing. But there is a difference between a 3-day hands-on and the practice of doing something weekly. And my good friend that came with me up to see you is coming back with me in September, and she loves like doing her hands-on, and she didn't have the time or whatever to do the hair designer program, but what I learned from you in those 3 days, and then what I practiced for a year afterwards, transformed my career. She got some ideas, and she, got some like nuggets and tips and things like that, which she really values and loves. But I actually I feel like I really transformed my life and my career. So I feel like that was the difference between a 3-day hands-on and your hair designer program.
yes. Well, the thing that I like, what I'm doing right now with my live workshops is that I call it choose your own adventure. And basically what we do is we do a coaching session. First of all, it's just you and I privately via Zoom. And I look at your work with love and compassion. And I listen to you because I want to know how you feel about your work and where you want to go, right? Mm-hmm. That's important. And then from there, we design your signature look. So we literally together in our coaching session, design your signature looks. And then when you come to me, we recreate them. So when you're in the studio, we only have 6 people that come. When you're in the studio, you're creating your signature looks, and the other stylists are creating their signature looks. So it's totally cool. We photograph everything in the way that I'm teaching you right now. And then after the session, you go home, and then we do another coaching call, and we look at what your goals were, and did you meet that goal? Did you meet that goal? And then you have a session with Patricia, who's fabulous. And she is an expert in many areas, but one of them being social media. And she looks at your social media and she helps you as well on your way with that. So it's really a very, very powerful, unique program because it's about you. It's not you coming to a class and everyone doing the bob and everyone, it's not that. And that to me is very exciting. So look what I've done. First of all, I have separated the hair into some ripples. I'm now going to take this, it's like a telephone cord, and I'm going to pop it on here. Let's hope this works. I'm going to bring this up here. And I'm going to cinch that in there. And now what I have to do is I have to pin that into place. This is where either a 4-inch nail or a staple gun would be so helpful. So this is how I organize my pins. It's it's a really great way of organizing. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to take my pin over here. I'm going to harvest, 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 and harvest and pin. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, where I'm going to harvest and pin. The harvesting is to gather the hair and gather the hair and gather the hair so I can really lock it into place. I'm going to not take those clips out right now. I'm too scared. I've been doing this a bit of time, right? So I'm now going to take an elastic band. I'm going to take a clear one, and look at my bands. They're very disorganized. Well, they're a bit disorganized, but I've got all sorts of fun things in here.
Looks pretty good.
Well, it's a bit disorganized, but I've got a clear band here, and I'm going to now comb it. And I'm going to pin this in a moment. Take that through here. And I'm now going to tuck this. Now, there's a couple of things I could do. I could just simply spin it around like spaghetti. Where's my comb? In here somewhere. Oh, there's a soft, cuddly toy. That's what I was looking for. You know, as you get older, it's amazing how things vanish, right? You can't figure out where anything is. All right, I'm just going to fold that in there, slide that out. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to pin. You see, the success of any dress work obviously is the set, but it's also how you pin it. Because in the pinning, that's what holds all of this baby to place. So coming in through here, actually, if you guys, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do, so that I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. But I just showed something just recently from this weekend's editorial program, and the whole hairstyle there was not one single pin in the whole hairstyle. And it was really pretty cool. So I'm going to take this out. And
Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to bring that around just a little tiny bit. So again, I'm going to take a tiny pin here, come through, and I then want to pull this apart. So I'm going to photograph it and just see photographically if this is right or not. But I may do that after class. I don't know, because the time is getting on here. I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. So here I'm going to, so I have it structured. Whoop, I have it structured, right? So now I'm going to, don't fall down. I'm now going to, I'm going to just take a picture with my phone. I'm scared that Lightroom may cause me problems again. So again, look, how I do this, it's good actually to show you with the phone. I make sure that everything here aesthetically is good. I go to portrait. I go to contour lighting. I step back and I'm just going to photograph that. So I have it nice and architectural, but I know that the bottom needs to really be undone. So I'm going to now gently, because it's pinned, just gently start pulling it apart. And you do have to be gentle, because if you pull too much, the whole thing will fall apart. And just to have it be a little bit lived in. So it's sort of like taking a classic chignon, really. And I love this piece in here. Do you like that?
Looks great.
And just by pulling this apart gently, you start to change the personality of the style. I'm a big fan of a great set and very light afterwards, like very light in my hairspray application. That's just more for hold. It's not for anything other than that. And you've got to stop and step back. And so the other thing too is when you look in the mirror here and you look this way and you're looking at the shape, you want to be able to look at the line as it flows through. And then obviously it's going to work from every single angle. So how does it look from the side? How does it look from the front? What's that? What is that?
Collapsing.
It's collapsing. So we have a solution for a droopy side. It's a Japanese pin, and she's drooped. And we're going to just come through here, and we're just going to sew. I love the sewing method. Sew and bring that in. And we want the valleys and the peaks. That's important. So I'm going to just sew in there, and then we're done and dusted. Again, a little Japanese pin, up and down, and sew that through. and then hide it. So now when I take a photograph again, I make sure I'm at the right angle. I make sure that everything is correctly balanced. If I'm going to put hairspray in, I just light. So what advice would you give to hairdressers tonight, Sarah, about their experience and then joining me on a journey? Because I know we've got a lot of lookies here tonight, a lot of people that it's their first time, but may not be brave enough to say, I'm going to book a call with Viv's team and see what I can do. What would you say?
I would say if you're thinking about it and you're thinking maybe, then take the next step. And that would be like just the process of discovery. So book the call. It doesn't cost anything. See if it would be of value to you. See if it's a good fit. And I do feel like if you're ready to level up in any way in your career or in your personal life, this has had a profound impact on my whole life, not just my work life. And I'm forever grateful. I truly am. I feel like I'm finally living that looks beautiful. And yeah.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh, a high garden.
Oh, this is my garden. You want to see my garden, everybody?
It looks good.
Look, that's my garden.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. Lots of texture.
Yeah, look, that's my garden.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, what am I meant to be doing here? So look at the difference by doing that. I've got all the valleys and peaks, and the camera can see that dimension versus the first one is really flat and boring. But the camera taught me this. So you've got two options tonight. You can absolutely take some of this information and go for it on your own, absolutely. But you could also be really smart and we can work together, because that's how when you collaborate and you work with people that can help you, that's where it becomes really, really profound. So I would love to share how I can help you, which is to give you, first of all, the clarity, to help you guide you on your way. And there's a learning process. It's not being a ping pong ball and bouncing from Instagram to YouTube to this to that and so on. They're all fantastic, but you've got to see results. And I believe a full immersion is where the game changes. So I want you to be really honest with yourself. If you can say, right, if you spend 2 hours a day on social media, that means you're spending 30 days in the year just on social media. What could you do if you repurpose those 30 days into something that is transformative, and you're not alone? You have someone working with you to help you every step of the way. And that's what we're talking about tonight, because we're talking about structure and guiding you every step of the way. So, I'll guide you through a proven system that nobody in our profession is using. And it truly is, it's true, because it's powerful. The confidence to create and put the right look on the right person. That's nice, isn't it? How to stand out from your competition. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My best kept secret is the consultation, and how it helps you retain clients and increase referrals. And that's been major, major, major. Having fun, hanging out with other successful people is always fabulous. I don't know, so many times you hear about even some of the most high profile salons, there's a negative Nelly in the house who can rain on everybody's parade. So it's wonderful to be around like-minded people. Intimidation, frustration, boredom are a thing of the past, because when you're having fun like this, it's totally cool. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm still having fun, still learning. I said earlier, we watch the videos before a class. You then come to a live class. We then give you feedback. Now, we have a success path, and only by we talking with you can we find out what you want to do, because you can go on your own pace, or you can go through our coaching program. So we have a lot of different things, live, online. It's a beautiful blend. So until we speak with you, we don't know what's right. We've got to make sure we marry you to the right strategy and the right teaching and training for you to be successful. So it's not for everybody, but if you want coaching and you want guiding, this is an example of our virtual feedback on your work. This is Sarah's fabulous work. I love, love, love how she made a mannequin look so genius. We have a massive library. I have to stop counting, but there's over 2,000 videos. So clients who have worked with me have paid a lot of money, for a day, for a couple of days. I've made this training affordable, and I've made it so that I can be connected to you. So from my experience of working on shows to magazines to accelerating the learning process and showing you, as I mentioned before, I'll show you how to climb the ladder to success, and we will accelerate your learning. And what's taken me decades to learn, I promise you, you're going to learn so, so quickly. So I encourage you to book a call and let us help you discover what your success path is. Because what is your success path? So what you're going to do is you're going to go to this link. And for some of you, if you can't write down this link or whatever, you'll get an email and you'll get the information again so you can sign up. So don't let fear, hesitation, questions get in the way. Just show up for a coaching call. Show up with my team, and they will listen to where you are, listen to where your pain points are, really listen to you. And then from there, design your success path. And if you're saying, well, Viv, I want to get into print and editorial, okay. Or if you're saying, well, Viv, I work in film and television and I want to kind of expand my repertoire and my portfolio, okay. Well, Viv, I'm just going out on my own as an independent and I now feel lonely and I want to be part of a tribe, great. If you're a salon owner and you're hiring young talent and you're worried about keeping them engaged and keeping them excited in education, I can help you. If you're a teacher and you want to elevate your game, I work with every age group and every level of experience. And because I've worked in so many different arenas, I understand what it's like to do hair for theater. I understand what it's like to do hair for photo shoots. I understand what it's like to do hair for a wedding. I understand red carpet. I understand all of those worlds. So when you say to me, well, Viv, I'm bored just cutting hair, or I'm bored just coloring hair, I know nothing about dressing hair, but I'd love to give it a go. Great, let's start you off. So there is a path for each and every one of you. So whether you come to my studio, which is where I am right now, and see my garden, come here and spend time with me, or whether you're going to have the fusion of a coaching, or you just want to simply do an online course, we're here to help you. My education is results driven. And if we feel that you're not the right fit, we'll recommend something else, because I don't want to work with people who are not invested in being the best version of themselves. And at the end of the day, you may have goals that come and go, but one thing for sure, if you take nothing else away from tonight, you should always be raising your standards. People who are happy in life thrive because of progress. And a business is either progressing or it is dying. If it is standing still, it is dying. Just hasn't happened yet. So if you want to get on the bus of going somewhere, we're a whole lot of fun, aren't we, Sarah?
We are. It is fun. Lots of laughter.
Yeah, lots of laughter. So guys, I thank you for your time. Laurie's saying, I'm retired, but I keep on learning. I share my knowledge with younger hairdressers. Best career in the world. Maybe I need a second career in hairdressing. Yes, Laurie, why not? Why not? It's wonderful. So Cindy is here. She's an amazing, talented hairdresser. And we've got quite a lot of people here tonight who are already in our training. So what I would say to you guys, share with your community what we're doing. Let's build, because the more amazing hairdressers we have, the better our profession is going to be. So don't be shy in sharing your knowledge. You have to be the best version of yourself and compete against yourself. Don't worry about anything else. And I hope tonight this has really helped you to understand the importance of how you brand, the importance of how the cohesiveness and the power of taking a photograph. That to me is everything. Sarah, is there anything you'd like to share with anybody before we say goodnight?
I would just say on the other side of fear is growth. You know, I mean, we all have to start somewhere, and if you're afraid, that's a good sign.
Absolutely.
It means you're ready.
Ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't forget, book a call with us. We'd love to see you. And as I mentioned, if you've got friends that you think would really value this, then please do. Denise is saying thank you. She'll be in touch. Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Have a beautiful evening. And I appreciate you being with me tonight. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye.